I'd like to get started with Doc Rock. Doc Rock is originally from the East Coast and was brought up in a military family. He's going to talk to us and share his story tonight about what it's like to live in different cities and how it requires people to change and adapt.
To me, home is a funny thing, right? I am a person who doesn't really like labels. Okay, to me, labels are super, super confining, right? It's like when you get down to the end of your laundry, but you've been too busy, and you go in the drawer, and you pull out that last pair of underwear, the one you always save for last, and that bugger tight. To me, that's what labels are like to me, okay? So the funny thing is, home, when you hear that word, when you're about, when you're about Yohai, home is a physical spot. That's the first thing the teachers tell you, right? Like, it's a physical spot. It's like a roof, and there's some windows, and then, in the East Coast, the window is there. You open the window, then you open the neighbor's window, and you go, hey, ba, I like one of those. I mean, it's like right there. We used to borrow sugar from about 18 stories. You just reach over, and you could actually grab each other. So, that physical structure is there. And then as you start to get older, you start to realize that home is also a social presence, right? Home is that dinner table where the family all gathers, or that kitchen, like in a Latino household, the Latino side specifically, the kitchen at grandma's house, who did that? I used to work at Apple, that's an iPhone, I'll let it slide. The kitchen is the center, right? And when we would go to Abuelita's house and we would sit down in the kitchen, first of all, let me tell you about the kitchen for me. I was the only male in the house full of women, and I'm the youngest. Until I was 16, and then my little sister, accident Carmen, came along, and then I was like, yeah, but then I left. So, I mean, pretty much the kitchen for me was like kind of dangerous. But the kitchen, it's funny how in almost every culture, that's sort of the beginning of home, right? So, for instance, I'm somewhat of a omniglot. When you look at the sort of Chinese or Japanese definition of home, they say uchi. Uchi is the house, it's the center, it's the kitchen, is where you come from. Funny thing in Japanese, sometimes when you refer to yourself, you guys colloquially will hear watashi, but most people really say uchi, because you're calling yourself that home, like it's the center, it's your center of being. So the social structure became in. And I always thought that was cool. Like, even when I came to Hawaii and someone said to me that the home is a hale, right? Anybody know the Hawaiian word for kitchen? Hale aina, right? So you guys thought I was a freak in the wharf who get one mean like, loco moco. But it's, aina is your home, it's your island, it's your land. But the hale aina, the land in your kitchen, is your home, right? So it's kind of funny, like through many cultures and many languages, it really does sort of mean the same thing. So for me, I remember I walked into this office and they told me to put my hand up and then touch the book. And it's like, okay, now you're leaving home, But the reason why I was leaving home was to protect my home, right? I'll let that register with you for a minute. Someone asked me today on Facebook, well, it's not me specifically, but when you read stuff on Facebook, you think they're talking to you. Which is why most of you guys argue about stuff you know nothing about, because you think they're talking about you. That's just the way, honestly, that's just the way it works. So my friend goes, oh, what was your first job? And Marco Bito, if you watch this is for you. What was your first job and what was your pay? I said, my first job, soldier. My pay, freedom. Right? Because I was too embarrassed to say it was, I was like, woo. But honestly, it was freedom. And then so one of the benefits of that is, like, when I came to Hawaii, what I thought was funny is, they say, well, you're a medic. So as a medic, you're a little bit more responsible than a bullet blocker. So you can stay here in the barracks so you can get your own spot. And then so I went looking for some place to live. And I remember going to my captain and saying, hey, I found this really cool spot. It's in Waianae. And he was like, whoa. And I was like, what do you mean, whoa? He's like, oh, Waianae is dangerous. I'm like, dangerous? I come from the murder capital of the United States. Well, what do you mean dangerous? He goes, oh, many people go there and they get in trouble and blah, blah, blah. Like, we kind of forbid you from doing that. And I was like, cool. Anybody else in here, when you're forbidden, do exactly what you're forbidden? That's Doc. Okay. So when I first get to Waianae, the first thing I did was I wanted to go to the gym. I wanted to see what was going on. So I go down to this boxing gym. There's a bunch of kids in there practicing and doing their thing. And there's two ways to approach that. One way is to walk in and be like, oh, bro, I like box, I like no whatever. And the other way to walk in is shut the hell up and sit in the corner and watch, right? Well, being from the East Coast, watching keeps you alive, right? So I sat there and I watched, and eventually someone comes over and they talk to me and it's like, hey, what do you do? I was like, hey, I'm from the, East Coast and I'm out here in the military and stuff like that. And they go, oh, cool. If you want to practice with us, practice. I made friends like on the first day. So the second day I went to their house, we're going to have a dinner and stuff. And then he's like, oh, you thirsty? Would you like some drink? And I was like, yeah. He goes, take your ass over there and get it. I'm like, what? Oh, you guys are just like us. All right, cool. So, and I remember I had to sort of do a report to try to say where I was. And they were like, but we told you can't live in Waianae. You can get in trouble. You guys should really stop telling people that because that's not real. And I go, first of all, Waianae is where the most Puerto Ricans in Hawaii live. So I'm home. Right? When I first got there, they go, oh, that guy's Borinqui. And I was like, what the heck is that? And I was like, Boricua? They go, yeah, that. And I was like, all right, cool. So like, to me, that was like sort of like home, right? Well, the next thing happens, with the military, we sort of get bounced around. We get sent to all kinds of places. I later found myself in Japan. And when I was in Japan, I discovered the home was actually inside of me because when I grew up, Saturdays, oh, bro, that was ninja movies at the Bijou. $1, all you can eat popcorn as long as you had a high school ID. And so, you know what I'm saying? So like watching that stuff, going to watch every American Ninja movie that ever came out, I was like, man, I'm going to go to Japan. I'm going to go to Home and Ninja Hood. Like, here's a funny story. I just thought of this real quick. Sorry, ad-lib for a second. Back home, the word is, when the street lights come on, you better have your butt in the house. End the story, right? When it has that small little yellow glow, my mom starts stretch. She's ready. If you step foot in the house and that sucker's like this bright, you break back out the door, hang, So I remember I was like running home. And I don't know what happened. Like somebody did something to the lights because they came on quicker than they should have. And then I remember I got sent to the room. So I went to the room and my mom, she's, stretching out, calisthenics, cracking knuckles. She brings the spoon, she comes ready and she winds up and she's about to give me the cracks. And I was like, poof. That was my last karate class. That was the end. I had like the Bruce Lee shrine and okay, cultural appropriation aside, I didn't realize that the ninja stars and Bruce Lee didn't go together at the time. Forgive me, I was a kid. But I had to get rid of the ninja stars. I had to get rid of my little suit with the black, with the fishing boots. So having an opportunity to go to Japan, what I realized is that in my 15 other lives, I was straight Japanese. Like really, really weird, like on the real, I identified with so many things in Japan. And what's funny was when I got my scholarship, at first they told me I couldn't go. They told me, oh, you're too old to learn another language. And I was like, oh, here I got to explain this to bureaucrats again. I was like, listen, you guys are academicians or academia nuts. Where I come from, we're like flexible. We do, like, no matter what the situation is, you figure it out. And so how I was able to go was I told them, you're going to send a bunch of 18-year-olds there and they're going to go get homesick. They're going to miss their dog, their family, their mother, their girlfriend, their boyfriend. They're going to do nothing but cry about coming home. And he goes, yeah, we get at least 1 or 2 every class. I go, you know what, send a grown-ass man, I'm going to go have fun. I'm going to learn what you want me to learn. And I'm going to go represent Hawaii. I'm going to show them my new home, right? And so luckily, somebody got their head out of their fourth port of contact. That's a military reference. And they decided to let me go. And it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me, because I really discovered the soul side of what home is. That bugger is deep, 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 deep inside you. And the other thing I discovered is as you grow up, the lens, the focal point of home changes, right? I also discovered something that I think I knew all along, but it had never been like hammered in. In order to be home, you need to have an investment. Not like the one I have in Kaka'ako, which I'm loving right now because the bugger keep going up. I know you guys is mad, but I getting rich, so I don't care. The investment, like the investment in the people, the investment in the community, the actually becoming part of the community, the learning that being a citizen doesn't mean voting and paying taxes. I think everybody's confused by that because, well, I don't know, somehow somebody thought it was a good idea to stop teaching citizenship in school at a certain level, but like luckily I was one of the last of the kids, and so that learning, that going out there and meeting your neighbors and having some involvement, being deeply engaged, getting suckered by your friends to come speak at 7 o'clock on a Friday when you should be at a bar getting drunk somewhere. Like that's all a sense of community, right? That's grounding yourself, in a place that you can call it home. Like I think a lot of people confuse home with comfort, but we know there are people right now that are home, physical, but they're not comfortable. There's some kind of pilikia in their house, right? Sadly, there's domestics or a situation where they're not comfortable, or someone doesn't want them there, or someone doesn't like their life choices, or all of those things. So the physical side is next to nothing. Like, granted, it's cool you have one, because there are many people in my neighborhood that don't have one, right? But then as many people come up to me and say stuff about, Kaka'ako, man, it must suck. You have so much homeless. I go, we have a lot of homeless. We also have a lot of houseless. And they go, what do you mean? There's people that have legitimate homes, because when I ride my bike through there, they're a family. They're sitting down, they're cooking, they're laughing, they're singing, they're telling stories. They're popped up in a tent, but to them, that's home. And some of those homes are better in the feeling, in the kanji. Some of those homes are better than the $14 million one of Hawaii Nui where no one talks to each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, sure, I'd switch Kaka'ako to up there real quick. Well, I kind of hate traffic, but I'll figure it out. I'll get a helicopter or something. But to assume that a home is a possession, wow, that's naivete to the biggest sense. Home is a feeling. Home is an emotion. And I've been lucky that coming to Hawaii and being surrounded by as many cultures as I had in the East Coast, but having the ability to feel comfortable, being accepted right away. Like, I didn't know that first person I met in the boxing gym way, way, way back in the 80s when I came here, him vouching for me just basically said, everybody else don't want, now that guy's cool, leave him alone. I didn't know what that meant at the time, So to have the ability to sort of be spoken for and to be comfortable and to learn. I learned, my Tagalog stuff, and I learned my Hawaiian stuff, and I learned my Samoan stuff, and I learned my Micronesian stuff. And then I add that to, my Japanese, my Chinese, my Korean, my Hanai family. When people ask me, oh, how's your mom and dad? They're talking about Mr. and Mrs. Kang. You feel me? Like, my friends call me Bro Kang because in the Korean community, I'm a known quantity because I was Hanai, like when I first got here by a Korean family, and I've been with them for over 30 years. I speak more Korean than some Korean kids, so like to be able to have that flexibility and to be able to feel welcome is cool. And what I learned from all of this is, to me, I developed the skill of a mo'o, right? I don't know if you guys know this, but in the legends, mo'os are shapeshifters, right? So it's not the point of being fake or two-faced. It's the point of being adaptable. It's being adjusted, you know, like a Jackson chameleon, if you will. I call myself sort of a social chameleon. I can talk to you about rocket science on the highest level and show you that I love academics. I love reading. I love all of that stuff. I can also come down to the level of, oh, bro, seriously, I don't believe these guys, but it's getting nuts out here. What? You know, I could do that. Like, it is not a fake thing. It feels right, you know? So in order to be home, sometimes you have to actually open the door and let people into your home. The one that's, you know, beating underneath your cool 6'8" shirt, you know? So to me, home is a fluid concept. Register for your minute, like, it's neither the physical or the social or the, let's say, the soul section. It's all of the things. It's all of the things mixed together. And it's a feeling of belonging. And so I'm proud as hell to call Hawaii my home right now. I fight for the best things of Hawaii every single day. And although I see it happen all the time, one thing I can say, I'm absolutely lucky because of the way I've learned to make it a real home. I've never had someone look at me and be like, hey, you shouldn't do that because you didn't grow up as one of us. You know, and closing this out, like, this is really funny. Even though people tell me that, I don't tell other people that. When people say, where's home for you? I go, in my skin, you know, like, they go, what do you mean? And they go, oh, bro, you know, like, I do a podcast with a bunch of people from England. And every once in a while, they'll be like, oh, we got to send a shout out to our resident Hawaiian nerd, Doc. I go, oh, pump your brakes. I go, I live in Hawaii. I'm a resident of Hawaii. Hawaii is kind of my home, but I'm definitely not Hawaiian. And they can't register that. And they go, what do you mean? And I go, Hawaiian is a nationality, bro. It's a race. You can't call me that. Like, I've lived in Hawaii longer than some of the actual Hawaiians, you know, the guys that are, say, under it. And then, you know, 21. But at the same time, you have to have that sort of understanding and that respect enough that we're one of the weird places. Like, in New York, I'm a New Yorker. In DC, I'm a Washingtonian. In Texas, I'm a Texan. But in Hawaii, I'm a guy that lives in Kaka'ako. And a lot of people don't know how to register that. Like, oh, I went off the handle on CNN and all the major news guys on the day of our fun phone alert practice. You know, like, I was texting them all day. They're like, who is this guy that keeps freaking pinging our inbox? I'm like, stop saying Hawaiians, because it wasn't just the Hawaiians. It was a bunch of us, you know. We have, like, I think 46 disparate nationalities in one spot. I'm like, come on, stop that, you know. So that part's a little weird. And, you know, sort of learning and adjusting to that and sort of trying to teach that to other people. So if we go by the Germanic definition, Hamlet, get it? Birmingham, you know, Hampton, hometown. If you go by the Germanic definition, all right, it's a building. But what we're building here tonight are new friendships, new relationships, right? Home is relationships, bro. You know what I mean? Sorry, ladies, for calling you guys bruh. It's a wine-eyed thing. You know, but home is the relationships you have. You know, that's home. And I'm glad that this is it for us now, and who knows where it'll be in the future. But I really appreciate you guys taking time to leave from your home and coming here to sit here today and listen to us speak and make us all feel at home. You see what I mean? Because right now my home is in a pair of SOAR 12 Kohans. And I'm Doc, and I really appreciate you guys. Mahalo.